Hello, welcome everyone. First of all, welcome back, audience. This is just the best audience. And you are in for such a treat today as we are rounding out the year. We are going to round out and get set up with the brilliant Barbara Weltman. She is joining us. Barbara is all about the entrepreneur, big ideas for small businesses. That is the name of her company. She is about to speak with, like last year, I believe, her event, she was with 5,000 participants. So we are in, I mean, there's so much value coming at us today to round out this year in order to prepare for the upcoming year. Barbara, my goodness, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to say hello to the audience and to really share tools for us to finish this year out strong and set up for success into the next year. What's your first piece of advice?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me, and it's really my pleasure. And really, this is what I'm all about: is sharing information with small business owners so that they do things right and they learn what they need to do. They get the help that they need to get from the right people, and they move ahead and they can sleep at night.
Sleeping at night, my goodness gracious. All the, I don't know about y'all, but that's when the stealth bomber sneaks in 2
Right.
a.m. What about this? What about this? And what about this? So thank you for helping us get past that. Barbara, when we really and truly, when we think about small businesses achieving goals, hitting numbers, adding new people, you know, everyone, they're CPAs, they're the insurance people, they're the marketing people, they're all the things. You actually support those that support the entrepreneurs, correct?
That's correct, because I think that many experts in their particular area don't know what small business owners don't know. So they don't know to advise them about this issue or that issue. Let me give you an example. So we have a couple of years ago, we had Congress passed the Corporate Transparency Act. It required beneficial ownership information reporting. It took effect in 2024. If you were in business before 2024, you have all of this year, all of 2024, to register with the Treasury. FinCEN is the website. I can't tell you how many small business owners have never heard of it. The penalties for not complying are tremendous, civil and criminal. And the reporting requirement is really only for small business because there are so many exemptions. If you're a little larger business, you have a certain number of employees and a certain amount of revenue, you're not required to do this. So this is for the mom and pop, the sole owner. And if you're forming a new business, you only have 90 days this year. New businesses next year only have 30 days to do this. So if you don't know about it, you can really be, up a creek. And I think so. This is the kind of thing that maybe if you have an advisor should be telling you to do it. You can do it yourself. This is not something that you need an expert to handle for you. It's really there's no cost in registering, and they're really pretty extensive instructions on from the government. Just takes the whole process probably takes less than half an hour to do the whole thing, even if you're slow like me and have to go back and forth and, oh, I forgot to do this, I have to do that. But you can wind it up and just do it and get it out of the way. There have been proposals to postpone it, to repeal it, but so far we're getting to the end of the year and nothing's happened. So I say better safe than sorry. Do your registration.
And would you please remind everyone, what is that website?
FinCEN.gov, FINCEN.gov, or go to treasury.gov and you'll find FinCEN.
And if you don't have an advisor, You just don't know. How would people have found out about this? I think this is such, and thank you for the example. It's a perfect example. You don't know what you don't know.
Precisely.
And
Precisely.
when you are working with people that are setting up their businesses, do you tell them to go to a particular website to go through a checklist? Or do you tell them to collaborate with someone and work with someone in a certain field? Clearly, and I believe all of our audience, um, you know, 98% work with CPAs. However, sometimes the CPAs might not know about some of these new requirements, correct?
Well, I hope that they do. That's my hope. It's been publicized in various journals and publications that CPAs usually get. But I'm an attorney by trade, and I spent many years helping small businesses form and get set up. And when I worked with them, I worked with them primarily on the legal aspects, having like partnership agreements if they were a partnership, and that kind of thing. It's hard for one advisor to cover all the bases. So
Mm.
really what a small business owner needs is a team of advisors that you can go to for various purposes. So you might want someone like me to help you get started, but you might want a CPA. I think it's highly advisable to work with a tax professional, not only just to prepare your returns, but also to work with you if you have inventory. There are strategies to use, and you want to know what they are, and you may not know just off the top of your head. You want to work with an insurance agent, an IT person. If you rely on IT, you don't have it. The thing with a small business owner is in a small business, you don't have an accounting department, you don't have an HR department, you don't have a legal department. You have to outsource all of these functions and create your own team that you can turn to. But with that said, the more that you can educate yourself, the lower your fees are going to be when you ask the experts. In other words, if you can zero in on a particular question to get an answer, the billable hours are going to be a lot smaller for a lawyer or an accountant, for example. And that's kind of my mission is to help small business owners know what's going on and what laws are changing or what's happening at the federal level. I can't cover every state level because there's so much going on across the country, but with a heads up, this is something you need to think about.
You know, it's very interesting when people decide to go into business for themselves. My husband and I, it's been approximately just shy of 25 years, and I just consult with the company now, and he's everyone's MVP. That's what I call him. But I will never forget when we went to the bank and we were talking to this gentleman. We still work with him, and I said, "What's the number one piece of advice?" And he said, he, meaning my husband, needs to do what he does best. If he's going to try to be everything for this company, he won't make it. He said, the reason people do not make it is because they do not build a team of professionals to support them in what they are doing. We took that to heart, thank goodness. And over this, 24 plus years, that I've noticed that. I always paid attention, and it's the truth. He would
Well,
not have
it's
had time to do anything that he's good at.
it's also a dollars and cents thing because if you are doing bookkeeping, you can do more with your time and make more money with your time than what you would need to pay a bookkeeper to do that task. And so it's really a dollars and cents decision. Plus, the bookkeeper probably knows it a lot better than you do because that's not your job. So go to the people that know what they're doing, let them do it. You pay them, and you make better use of your time.
That's exactly right. would you say that when someone is starting out, and I really want to get to the planning for next year, but for anyone who has, we do, our listeners, we have quite a few that have just transitioned into um, entrepreneurship. And it's interesting, some of my conversations are about if you want to build a business, which means that the business can run without you, you have to collaborate and build a team. There must be a transfer of leadership in every area of your company.
Certainly. And when you're starting out, these don't have to all be employees. You can outsource all of these tasks.
Yes.
And as you grow, more and more people will be under your umbrella and within and become employees. And then you can have your HR department to deal with all of your growing staff. But initially, you just need to deal with experts who can help you.
Yes, and I want to make sure I throw out here, I am so grateful for our team at the construction company and a couple of other ventures. It's all about teamwork. 1 + 1 really does equal 11. Um, in teamwork, it's just unbelievable. And it's also more fun. My goodness gracious. So let's go because I'm so excited about your advice. Here we go, and we're rounding out this year. We're going to move into planning and procedures and goals. All of the things that as individuals and as companies, we hope to achieve in the next 12 months, well, in the next year. What do you believe is the number one hint or practice that everyone should incorporate in order to make sure they stay with those goals throughout the year? How do they stay? How do we stay, committed to what we are hoping to achieve?
You have to schedule time, whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever works in your particular situation, to review your business plan, your goals. It might be to look at your budget to see how you're doing, to think about what's going on in the world. We had to be very flexible with inflation and pricing and all that recently. So, and just make it a regular process. I know some people who do it on a Friday morning, every Friday in their business. They just gather the necessary people, sit down, and talk about what happened in the week, and look at their projections and expectations, and were they meeting it, and what do they have to do to tweak what they're doing going forward. Maybe it's a time to raise prices. Maybe it's a time to cut expenses. You have to just kind of stay on top of it. Things don't happen automatically, and you have to be proactive in every area of running your business. You have to be the decision maker. Yeah, you can have all these experts and advisors, but as President Truman says, the buck stops with you, and you have to make the decisions. And
Yes,
that's the way it goes. That's why you're in business.
that's right. It's accountability, and that's always the overarching umbrella, accountability and success. And to your point, regardless of how many experts you have taken care of, if we are not sitting down looking at the entire picture, what's working, what's not, we have to manage and track the progress. We have to track the expenses, track the pipeline. And, is our team engaged, whether those be subcontractors, as you said, or employees? Do you have a tracking system that you use with your company? Or do you think everyone should create their own? What's your
Yeah, everybody needs to create their own. You can create, for example, a one-page business plan but I think I think it's essential, and so many business owners don't do, is to look at their numbers. And the thing is, today it's so easy to do. You don't have to be a numbers person. You don't have to know anything about accounting. You just put the numbers into your QuickBooks or whatever accounting system you use. Just put in your expenses, record your income, and hit a button, and you get a printout of your, financial statements. You can get a profit and loss statement. You can get a balance sheet. You can know every week, every period that you want. You can define the terms, whether it's monthly, weekly, whatever, and take a look. But you have to do it, and you have to know the numbers.
You have to know the numbers. Um, and again, for all those that are listening, it's easy to get the numbers. This is not going back to school to figure out how to get the numbers. And not only can we get the numbers ourselves, sit with your tax advisor, your CPA, and say, let's go through the numbers. Because the other thing about having a team of professionals is you have to know, you got to share what you don't know. Here's the good news, whatever you're doing, your CPA doesn't know how to do that. So it's okay. That's their job. And well, my job is, my favorite is to sit down with the professionals and ask questions. I bet they're like, oh my goodness, here she comes again, more questions.
But also, I think that small business owners, especially starting out, feel they can't afford it.
Yes.
But I think that you have to look at what is the cost of making a mistake? What is the cost of not doing this? And it can be much higher. So make the investment. So, okay, so maybe you're not going to sit down with your accountant monthly, but you could do it quarterly. And start there and see if that's sufficient to keep you on top of things. And if not, you might have to meet more frequently or ask questions in the interim or whatever. But again, don't look at it as just as a dollar sign that's money going out the door. Look at it as money, as saving you money, because you're not going to incur penalties, problems, that kind of thing.
Would you say that the people that you work with, that is the number one, um, you know, problem, if you will, or learning moment is you have to say to them, oh my goodness, you just weren't looking at your numbers. Would you say that is the number one most common mistake is not knowing the numbers of the business?
Well, I don't know if it's the most common mistake, but it's very common for sure. I know many small businesses that the owners are so focused on getting the job done that they don't deal with running the business. And that's why they're in business. It's to run it, not to do the functions. They may be a great woodworker, but they're not. And if they want to spend all their time woodworking, then maybe they should work for somebody else. But they have to run their business.
That's a very good point. Some people are made to work for other people.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a choice. I mean, it's not that they don't have the same talent. It's okay to make that choice.
absolutely. But and I find it's very challenging for some people to go from being a W-2 employee to being an owner. That they're so used to having somebody else give them the weekly check that they can't figure out that their pay depends on what they do and how they manage things.
That isn't that the truth. I remember well, I've always been an entrepreneur. However, when I was younger in school, it was interesting. I finally, as I met with entrepreneurs, I realized, my goodness, they work more hours. However, it's their own hours and they determine the ceiling on where they can go with their business. That's really the difference. You know,
Mhm.
it's, whose hours, pick your hard. It's not that being on your own is easier than working for someone else.
No, it's different.
That's
It's just different. And for many people who stick it out, it's worth it. It's
ah,
just,
I love it so much.
Well,
Uh,
me too.
I clearly. So when as people are sitting down to prepare for this next year, do you like to start with the end in mind and then reverse engineer?
Well, you start from where you are and you
Mhm.
look back at the past 12, 12 years. Have you been growing at a certain rate? Have prices been escalating at a certain amount? And you can go forward in that way to plan a budget for the coming year. In doing the budget, take into account new laws that you may have to comply with and the cost of that compliance, the new tax rules, which I could do a whole program on. And just I think do that. And don't feel that what you have created now is it. That you can modify it going forward with those regular meetings and analysis of what's going on. But you got to start somewhere.
Yes,
And
you do.
you have to make sure that you're going to be able to have enough cash flow to pay your payroll. So deciding on what compensation is going to be in the coming year, that's something you want to make sure that you have enough money to service any debt that you may have. That you can't not do that, and you have some fixed costs. You have your rent for most businesses have rent and insurance, and you kind of know certain costs going forward, and so just deal with those, and then you can kind of get more creative in terms of your marketing and expansion plans and growth plans and such.
I, if people, and I know you're so incredibly generous with your time, I want to remind everyone, how long have you been helping others get started and stay in business and be successful?
Well, I don't want to say how long I've been doing it because then you'll know how old I am. But I ran my practice for many, many years. Then I closed my practice and started my business. I closed my practice when my kids were grown, and I didn't need that steady kind of income to support them. And then I decided, well, in the course of my practice dealing with small business, I found out that I had the same questions coming up over and over again. And I thought, well, I'll handle this by disseminating information through a website and through publications and such. And so I've been doing that since I incorporated in 2000.
Oh my goodness. First of all, congratulations and thank you, because so many people need um, your expertise and the services that you offer. And I want to remind the audience, so big ideas for small business.
Yes.
It,
Ideas is plural, business is singular.
there you go. Big ideas for small business. And of course, you will all see posted the website. You'll see how you can get in touch with amazingly, um, our expert, Barbara. And I just cannot stress enough the importance of what she shares. Preparing and sticking with knowing your numbers. It's the key, because if you know your numbers, you can then adjust to what you need to be doing.
Yep,
And
yep.
is there anything before we go, Barbara, that you want to tell the audience that you really hope that they will do? Yes, keeping up with the numbers, know their numbers.
Well,
Any,
one of the things in my area of expertise obviously is taxes, and my book, J.K. Lasser's Small Business Taxes 2025, is coming out, and it's for the 2024 returns, but also for planning for 2025. And we have a new administration, a new Congress. We're going to have new tax laws. Many of them may be very beneficial, and some of them may even entitle you to file amended returns and get money back. So you really want to stay on top of that. Keep in touch with your tax advisor so that you don't miss out on opportunities. If you let time go by, it may be too late. So again, just stay current on what's happening. Keep an eye on the government, because lots is going to happen. A lot of things are going to happen on the federal level, but also on your state and local level, and they're going to impact your business. Some of it favorable, some of it not favorable, all of which you have to deal with.
Thank you, and such great advice. Ask questions, build your team. Oh my goodness, Barbara, thank you so much for your time. And is the event that you are about to have you already, is there any way for people to join in on that event? Is that something they can follow you or buy a ticket to?
It's through score.org, which is I don't know if everybody should know about SCORE, because SCORE is an offshoot of the SBA, and you can get free mentoring from SCORE. You have questions, get a SCORE mentor. It's free. And so
How?
I'm doing the webinar through SCORE, and which I do at least one, sometimes multiple webinars every year for them, just to send out the information.
Constantly helping others. I so appreciate your mission. I so appreciate you. I always love our conversations, and I'm going to look forward to the next one.
Great.
Thank you so much.